The letter arrived at the San Francisco Chronicle on August 1st, 1969. It began with 3 words. "This is Zodiac." He was not writing to confess. He was not writing to apologize. He was writing to taunt. He told the newspaper he had killed 2 people the previous month near Blue Rock Springs Park. He described details that only the killer could have known. He included a piece of a murder victim's shirt as proof. And then he made a demand. "Print this letter on the front page tomorrow morning, or I will go on a kill rampage tonight." The newspaper printed it. The city of San Francisco read it over breakfast. And somewhere in the Bay Area, the man who had written it read his own words on the front page of a major newspaper and understood something that would define the next 5 years. He could do anything he wanted, and nobody could stop him. He killed at least 5 people between December 1968 and October 1969. He wrote more than 20 letters to police and newspapers taunting them. He sent cryptographic ciphers daring investigators to decode his messages. He called police from a payphone after one attack to make sure they knew it was him. He claimed to have killed 37 people total. He was never arrested, never charged, never identified. Over 2,500 suspects have been investigated over more than 50 years. Not one of them has ever been conclusively proven to be the Zodiac. He is still out there, or he died somewhere quietly. Either way, he won. December 20th, 1968. Lake Herman Road, Benicia, California. A remote stretch near Vallejo, a place couples parked after dark. David Faraday was 17 years old. Betty Lou Jensen was 16. It was their first date. They drove out to the lake, parked, and sat in his car. Sometime around 11 at night, another car pulled up alongside them. The person in that car shot David Faraday in the head while he sat in the driver's seat. Betty Lou Jensen ran. She made it 28 feet from the car. 5 shots hit her in the back. She died on the road. David died at the hospital an hour later. There were no witnesses. There were no immediate suspects. It looked like a random attack on a couple parked in an isolated area. Police investigated. They found very little. The case went cold. Then on July 4th, 1969, it happened again. Blue Rock Springs Park, Vallejo. Darlene Ferrin, 22 years old, and Michael Majo, 19. Parked in a lot near the golf course. A car pulled up, left, came back. A man approached on foot with a flashlight. He shot both of them multiple times. Darlene Ferrin died at the hospital. Michael Majo survived. He was able to describe the shooter. A white male, heavy build, curly brown hair. That description would be the most detailed eyewitness account investigators would ever have. And it was not enough. Because 40 minutes after the shooting, the Vallejo Police Department received a phone call. A male voice gave the address of the attack, told them to look for 2 victims, and then said, "I also killed those kids last year." He was talking about David Faraday and Betty Lou Jensen. The Zodiac Killer had just introduced himself. 1 month after the Blue Rock Springs attack, 3 Bay Area newspapers received letters on the same day. The San Francisco Chronicle, the San Francisco Examiner, the Vallejo Times-Herald. Each letter described the murders in detail that had never been made public. Each letter contained 1/3 of a coded cipher. Put the cipher together and print it on the front page, the letters said, "or I will kill 12 people over the weekend." The newspapers contacted police. Police said print them. The newspapers printed them. And within a week, a high school teacher named Donald Harden and his wife Betty cracked the code from their kitchen table in Salinas. The decoded message began, "I like killing people because it is so much fun." It ended, "I will not give you my name because you will try to slow down or stop my collecting of slaves for my afterlife." He believed the people he killed became his slaves in death. He believed he was building an army. He was not done. On August 1st, a new letter arrived at the Chronicle. It began, "This is Zodiac speaking." He had named himself. And from that moment forward, the Zodiac controlled the story. He was not a suspect being hunted. He was a performer with an audience. He chose what the newspapers printed. He chose what the public feared. He chose when to write and when to go silent, and when to remind everyone that he was still there. Retired FBI profiler John Douglas later said, "The Zodiac wasn't just killing, he was performing." The media was his stage, the front page was his platform. And he understood exactly how to use both. September 27, 1969. Lake Berryessa, Napa County. Brian Hartnell, 20 years old, and Cecilia Shepard, 22, were having a picnic on a small peninsula by the water. A man approached from the trees. He was wearing a hood over his head. Black hood, cut eye holes, a white crosshair symbol sewn on the chest. He had brought a length of rope. He tied both of them up. Then he stabbed Brian Hartnell 6 times. He stabbed Cecilia Shepard 10 times. Cecilia Shepard died 2 days later. Brian Hartnell survived. Before the attacker left, he did something methodical. He walked to their car. He took a felt-tip pen from his pocket. And on the car door, he wrote the dates of his previous attacks. December the 20th, 1968. July the 4th, 1969. September the 27th, 1969. Then he drew his crosshair symbol. He left his timetable on the car door like a signature, like a scoreboard. 13 days later, October 11th, 1969, Paul Stein, a 29-year-old cab driver, picked up a fare in San Francisco. The fare shot him once in the head, took his wallet, took a piece of his shirt, and walked away into the Presidio neighborhood. 2 police officers drove past a man matching the description minutes later. They were told by radio the suspect was a black male. The man they passed was white. They did not stop him. They drove past the Zodiac Killer on a San Francisco street. He disappeared into the dark. Paul Stein's murder produced more physical evidence than any previous Zodiac attack. Fingerprints from the cab. A bloody palm print. 3 witnesses who had watched from a window across the street. They described the killer clearly. The police had a composite sketch that was widely distributed. It showed a white male, heavy-set, thick-rimmed glasses. And the investigation still went nowhere. The problems were structural. The Zodiac had attacked in multiple counties: Benicia, Vallejo, Napa County, San Francisco. 4 different jurisdictions. 4 different police departments. No centralized task force. No shared database. Detectives in one county did not automatically know what detectives in another county had found. Leads were duplicated, evidence was siloed, suspects were investigated independently without anyone coordinating. The Zodiac had essentially designed his crime spree to exploit the fragmentation of American law enforcement. He crossed county lines deliberately. He made himself everyone's problem and therefore nobody's priority. In the early 2000s, investigators managed to extract a partial DNA profile from saliva on the stamps and envelopes of the Zodiac's letters. It was not complete enough to identify a suspect through available databases. But it was enough to exclude suspects. Arthur Lee Allen, the only man ever publicly named as a suspect by police, was excluded by both the DNA from the envelopes and the fingerprints from the cab. His handwriting did not match. 2,500 suspects investigated. The most prominent one excluded by the physical evidence. The real killer still somewhere in the database or nowhere at all. The Zodiac sent 4 coded ciphers to the press between 1969 and 1970. He dared investigators and the public to solve them. The first cipher, 348 characters split across 3 newspapers, was cracked within a week by a civilian couple. It contained no name, no location, no useful information. Just the statement of a man who believed killing was enjoyable and who planned to keep doing it. The second cipher, 340 characters, sat unsolved for 51 years. 51 years. Cryptographers, military analysts, academic code breakers, and amateur enthusiasts tried to crack it for half a century. In December of 2020, an international team of 3 civilian code breakers finally solved it using custom-built software. The decoded message read, "I hope you are having lots of fun in trying to catch me. I am not afraid of the gas chamber because it will send me to paradise all the sooner." It contained no name, no clue to his identity, just more contempt for the people searching for him. 2 ciphers remain unsolved. One of them is 13 characters long. 13 characters. Some researchers believe it contains his name. If it does, the name is still hidden inside it. 5 people confirmed dead. 2 survivors who spent decades living with the memory of his face. 37 claimed victims whose cases were never connected. And an entire generation of San Franciscans who were afraid. Schools sent children home, gun sales increased, parents kept their teenagers inside on weekend nights. He did not just kill 5 people. He changed how a city lived for years. And then he went quiet. His last confirmed letter arrived at the San Francisco Chronicle in January of 1974. He claimed 37 victims. He made a few literary references. He signed off with his crosshair symbol. And then nothing. No more letters, no more ciphers, no more calls. Either he stopped killing, or he died, or he simply decided he had proven everything he needed to prove and walked away. There is no way to know. What remains is a partial DNA profile on 50-year-old envelopes, a bloody partial fingerprint from a San Francisco cab, a palm print from a letter, a composite sketch that 2,500 suspects have been measured against, and the Z13 cipher. 13 characters, possibly a name, possibly the answer to the question that has outlasted every detective who ever worked the case. The letters are in a museum now. Yellowed, fragile, handled carefully behind glass. The crosshair symbol on each one. The words "This is Zodiac" speaking at the top of each one. The envelopes that contain them still carry his DNA. Degraded, partial, contaminated by 50 years of air and handling. But still there. Still his. In December of 1968, 2 teenagers went on a date near a lake in Northern California and never came home. In October of 1969, a cab driver picked up a fare in San Francisco and was shot in the head before the end of the block. In between those events, a man in a handmade hood tied 2 people to a tree and stabbed them in broad daylight. And then he wrote the dates on their car door. Like he was proud. Like he wanted to be remembered. He got what he wanted. He is remembered. And he is still not named. The Z13 cipher has 13 characters. Somewhere inside them, if the researchers are right, is the name of the man who shot teenagers on lovers' lanes and mailed taunting letters and wore a hood with a crosshair sewn on the chest and walked away from all of it. Still unidentified. Still unaccountable. After more than 50 years. Do you think the Zodiac Killer is still alive? Or did he die without anyone ever knowing who he was? Tell me your theory below.